Hobbs Kessler, the man of the hour. Welcome back to the Running Effect podcast. How are you doing this evening?
Never better. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be back.
329.45, fifth in the world. How does it feel even hearing those words like 2 weeks removed from that race?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. We go away to keep progressing on like a really big breakthrough year for me. So I'm super proud. I was kind of hoping for a medal, but those are hard to come by. So again, I'm happy with my improvement. I'm happy with the time, but I'm hoping I can keep working down. I figure I have plenty of time in my career to run fast. So I'm just happy to feel like I ran the best I could have at what is going to be the most important race until 4 years from now. So yeah, proud, happy, a little. I'm not super satisfied with it, but that's what keeps us going. So,
dude, 329 at 21 years old. Would you have imagined this being a reality even like 1-2 years ago, or was this always the goal?
I mean, yeah, I always thought I could do it, but what was more surprising was like kind of how bumpy things have been. It hasn't been as smooth as I thought. Like in high school, it felt like everything I did, like I was just getting better and better, and it just more and more successful. And then obviously like it's going to end at some point. So once I got to the other side of that, it was fine. But yeah, I guess I didn't expect it. I expected to get here, but it was bumpier at first than I was expecting. But this year's been pretty smooth, so I can't complain too much. This year's been what I thought everything would be like, just smooth and calculated and controlled. So I'm hoping we can keep that up for the rest of my career. But obviously, there will be some ups and downs. But I'm hoping we've kind of figured things out better and taken the necessary steps to try to like mitigate the bumps and have slightly more linear progress. At least we've been successful at it this year, so there's no reason to believe it won't continue, but we'll see.
As someone who was on the Team USA 1500 meter roster, did you expect what we ultimately ended up seeing? All three of you in the top 5, 2 in the top 3, first time in 112 years that we've had 2 medalists in this event. What was your perspective going into the games of the potential of Team USA in the 15?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but if you look at like the race at the trials, like it kind of showed that we were runners of that ability. Like running, I think Cole ran 3:30 closing to 52, Yard 52 or 53. I ran 3:31 and 53. Vince Ciatti ran 3:51 and 53, or 3:31 and 53. Nathan Green, like he just went deep, and it like, I mean that was a pretty. It took a lot to get on that team. So, in hindsight, no, but like obviously, like having 3 people have their best day, on the right day is tricky. So, it was, it's nice when it lines up like that. It's crazy. Like I'm ranked 4th in the world right now, and I'm ranked 3rd in America. So it's really bizarre. But it's an exciting thing to be a part of, and I'm super proud to be teammates with Yard and Cole. They've proven themselves as amazing runners. So I'd love to be on the medal stand there with them soon, but right now I'm happy.
Something that's really unique about that roster and just the 1500 meter as an event itself is how young the event is. Obviously, you're kind of the young guy in there specifically, but Niels Leros, Hawker's really young, Nagus is relatively young, Jakob's pretty young. What's your kind of overall outlook on the state of the event in the next few years, where it's like none of these guys are going anywhere anytime soon, and the levels that you guys can get to by pushing each other could get pretty astronomical pretty soon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little curious. Like, is it like the 800 now? And it's just kind of a young man's game, just because it's so fast and you need to train so hard to get in like the sub 330 fitness, or is it just like the way things have worked out? This is the crop of talent just skews young, and it'll be the same people for the next 10 years. I don't know. I'm hoping it's just it's a really talented group of guys, and it's just kind of the way things have shaken out. Because I'd like to think I could be successful at this for 10 more years. But who knows? But it's crazy. Either way, it's really interesting, and I don't think the 15 has been this young in a while and this fast. But like looking back, I always viewed like your 1500-meter prime as like 27 to 29. Like once you have 10 years of aerobic strength under your belt. So I don't know. We'll see, but I imagine there'll be a lot of the same guys for the next little bit. It's exciting. I think it'll get pretty crazy. Like all of a sudden, like 2-3 years ago, 326 was crazy, and now like you know I think what 5 people this year have run under 329 and 4 under 328. Like it's crazy. We've never seen 1500 depth like this. The training has gotten so good, the shoes have gotten so good, and just like once these fast races happen, it just kind of sucks everyone through to really fast times. So yeah, it's a crazy time to be a 1500 runner, but I'm really happy with the era I get to compete in. It's the most exciting it's been for a long time. We haven't had a repeat global champion since Kiprop, and even then, like he was served a doping ban after that. So really, like how many? It's crazy. There's a lot of drama. It gets shaken up a lot. I don't know. What an exciting event. I'm super happy to be a part of it.
Obviously, there was a lot of speculation about how Jakob was going to take the race going into the final. For you and Ronnie and your whole team in that camp, what was the kind of idea on how fast things would go out or what the race plan would be? And how did that match up with your expectation when things got actually going?
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to take it that early, but I figured someone would. My plan was like just get out front, even if I had to take the lead for a little bit, because I figured either most likely Jakob, but even Yard, like someone would take the pace, get antsy, take the pace, and I want to be up there in the mix with him on the rail. When you're going that fast, you really got to be tight to the rail if you want to have your best shot. So that was the main thing. Is like in medal position on the rail. Because like if you look at what happened to Tim Chariot and Brian Coleman, they're both 328 fitness right now, which would put them in contention for a medal, but neither of them placed in the top 6 because they were running wide. And it's just again, you're running that pace 55 points. You got to be tight running the shortest distance. I think I did fall asleep in the middle of the race. I was like, and should have moved up before Cole and Yard did, but that's a mistake I can fix next time. And that kind of put me out of it. But yeah, that was kind of my plan: be in position on the rail. I knew it was going to go. I didn't know when it was going to go, but at some point from at least 2 laps out, it wasn't going to be a sprint, the last lap or last 600. So
you mentioned how many guys are, running in the under 329. I would have never thought going into this year that 329.45 would have gotten you 5th in the Olympics. How much faster do you think you can run this year? Obviously, a few more opportunities, hopefully, to run something fast. Or is that not even your mindset? Is it more, going after titles and all that? What's kind of the perspective going into the final few weeks of the season?
yeah, I mean, I'm in. This is new territory for me, so I don't really know like where I'll be at physically. I still feel fine. Have been doing. I actually feel better than I did before the games, and I'm hoping racing 5 times at the Olympics was quite a bit of stimulus. So I'm hoping that'll kind of boost my fitness even a little bit more. But obviously, everything was geared towards the tries and the Olympics. So this is kind of all an afterthought. And I've never been this fit for this long. So we'll see. I think I can run faster and really compete in these next couple of Diamond Leagues, but there's only one way to find out. Again, this is my first time doing it, so we'll see. I'm super motivated, feel super mentally fresh. So I'm definitely going to put myself in a position to try to win these races and run really fast. Seeing Cole and Yard mix it up at and me getting fifth, at the biggest stage in the world, we're like, all right, like I can compete with the very best and have competed with the very best, and like there's no reason why I can't be contending in these races. So uh, yeah,
As someone who, placed fifth in the Olympics, raced him, he was one spot ahead of you, as well as has raced him other times. Jakob, I want to hear your take. Stay in the 15, or do you think he should move 5K, 10K? What's your take on just how it, a lot of speculation in terms of,
yeah,
he runs so fast, but he can't get it done. What's your take on that?
yeah. I mean, he's way more effective at the 5K and 15. Like he can tuck it, or sorry, 5K and 10K. That's probably where he's better suited. But I don't blame him. I mean, the 1500 I think is like the sexiest event and like the coolest for trying to like dominate what is like the I would say the most prestigious event. So yeah, there's two parts. Like if he just was a 5K runner, I don't think he's lost a 5K in years. To my knowledge, not since Worlds in 2019. So um, I think he'd like be revered as God status if he just moved up and just would never lose. But there's something so attractive about the 15 that I understand why he's choosing to race down. I'm really curious to see like he's like every race he has the target on his back and he races as such. And if you let the races go differently, if he didn't try to just wear everyone out, um, he still probably has the best fitness in the world for the 15. But obviously everyone's looking at him and gearing their race strategy off him. So you can't kind of like sneak through. But if he raced more traditionally, would he be more successful? I mean, I don't know. I imagine he's probably thought about it and decided on his best strategy, but it's still interesting to think about, like, um, if he had a different, if he raced, allowed the races to get tactical. Again, I'm sure he can run 145, and I'm sure he can close these races in 147 if he needed to, but maybe not. I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm curious if we'll ever find out. He's probably in world record 5K. I don't know. I don't know if we've ever seen someone so consistently fit as Jakob, but it's hard.
He
It's hard
just,
to repeat.
yeah, he just never races the 5K outside of global championships, which is the funny part. Like his first
Uh,
5K this year was
yeah,
was the Olympics,
the
and he ran the easiest 119 last 600 I've ever seen. Like it doesn't even look
yeah,
like
like
he's trying.
no one can compete with that. How I think you're close to like 350 or 351 for the last mile. Like that, what an incredible run. So
That's
it makes
wild.
you think like um, he probably is just better at it, but
Well, that's
we'll
why I'm
see what he
like,
does.
yeah, and his training is definitely more, I feel like, geared towards the longer distances, which is why I feel like in a 10K, no one's touching him. Like, I
Yeah.
just don't. Maybe that's a hot take because he hasn't run one, but I genuinely think he could double the 5K, 10K really easy. Whereas the 15, there is so much room for tactical error, which has happened the past
Hmm.
few years. So much room for a guy like Cole just having it on the day. 5K, 10K is way more predictable. But like you said,
Yeah.
that's what makes the 15 so much more attractive is kind of like people are tuning in more, talking about it more.
Yeah. I'm curious how it would affect the 15 if he stepped out of it because um, probably since 2020 or maybe 2021, um, it's been defined by him. I guess if you count him and Tim Chariot together, because they've had similar race strategies and kind of have similar strengths, um, it's been defined by them since 2019. So with Tim kind of in the twilight of his career, which is crazy to say because he did run 328 this year, but and if Yakum like moved up, if they weren't this as big of factors, like what would happen to 15? Would it revert back to the way it used to be, and all these races would get won? It's probably still get one in 333, closing in 119 or 118, but or would they still go under 330? Who knows? It, well, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out the next couple of years, but I don't know. I'm excited for it. Yeah, what an exciting part or exciting time to be a part of a 1500-meter running.
Speaking of new events, that's something you kind of dabbled in this year, going into the 8. To be honest, being at USA's, I just thought you were trying to get extra work done by doing the 8. You're like, heck no, I'm gonna make a team
Mhm.
in 2 events. What was the decision to do 2 events, and ultimately, what was that journey like of dipping in a distance below where there was probably a little less pressure, and yet you still absolutely crushed it?
Yeah. I don't know. It was kind of a surprise to me as well. I started working with Pat Henner, who like has coached a lot of. He coached Will Sumner in 2022, 2023, in 2023 to his NCAA um, championship win, and has coached a lot of other really great 800-meter runners, and just kind of started working on the speed and power end of things, as well as like the aerobic strength end. So we kind of had started doing a really polarized training where like we worked on like basically max power and speed, and then just uh, aerobic fitness and nothing, not too much in between. So it allowed me to get both more aerobically fit and a lot. My leg speed got a lot faster, and I was a lot more efficient running fast, which I don't think happens very much. Uh, like as milers don't typically get faster after high school. Like once you start running mileage and just like you just kind of get road legs. So I know you've had Pat on the podcast, but um, like his speed development system has kind of allowed me to get faster while I'm in high volume, um, which has opened up the door for the 800. Which again I didn't think it was possible. I thought like you get slower as your career goes, but um, he's got the magic. That's not the case. So I ran an 800 in May with pretty much no specific work. I did one hard workout before that, and I ran 145, and I think it still trying to figure out how to run the event. And in a perfectly set up race, I think I could have run 144 flat in that race. So I was like, all right, I can contend in this event. And then at the trials, I just try to put myself in it and compete. No point in being in the race if you're not going to be there to get it done. And it turned out it was enough. So it was really exciting to go 1-2 with Bryce, who's been my training partner for the last year. And it was fun to do the rounds with less pressure, and it was just exciting. I don't know how much of a future I have in it. I'm definitely a 15 guy, but it's been fun to explore. I don't know what the future lies, but shout out to Pat,
Shout out to Pat,
particularly
the
for
goat.
he kind of had the vision that I could run a good 8, and then just a year's worth of speed development. I just got faster and more efficient, and was able to kind of have the wheels to get it done.
You said you don't quite know what the future holds, but as much as you know and can discern at the moment, looking ahead to future years, is the double something you want to continue to do, or is it more all chips in on the 15?
It's pretty much all chips in on the 15, but I do want to run a 5 at some point here. I'll probably run one in the winter. Um, I, I I think train. I mean, I already train like a 5K guy for the most part, with the exception of that speed development we just talked about. But the more aerobically strong I get, I think um, the better I can be at the 800. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm quite talented enough to really compete for medals in the 8. But I can be good domestically, and yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't really know. We'll see, but definitely a 15 guy. That's where my future lies. So I don't know if I have more 8 teams in store or not.
To to what extent do you think that mindset is because of how fast the 8 was this year? Like previous years, I've gone on record and stated I think the 8 was the easiest event to medal in, and then this year, Bryce has a really good USA's. I'm like he's gonna win it all, and then 2 weeks
Yeah,
later, craziest race of all time. Which I know you probably can't say anything. I'll state I think we'll see some things go down in the coming years. I just find it very hard to believe that many people run 141. But besides the point, to what extent do you think that that mindset is just because of the progression of the 8? A year ago, 144 would have medaled, I think. This year, 141, the American record got fourth.
yeah. I mean, Bryce ran the 7th fastest 800 of all time, and it wasn't good enough for a medal. So um, it kind of sucks. He's a victim of the era he's running in. I would argue that's the greatest 800 race ever run by an American. Um, even surpassing ones that have won performances that have won global championships. Uh, but yeah, like I was talking to Nick Willis, like after the Olympic trials, he's like maybe you should like focus on the 8. Like you're a better 15 runner, but um, globally the 1500 is so strong, and the 800 doesn't seem to have caught up yet. And I think that's your best shot. He was telling me it might be my best shot at a medal. And then like a week later, everything went down. So like, all right, well, I guess we're back to the 15. It's really interesting, like why the 8 progression lagged behind so much. We've seen the 15 and the 5K, and everything really progress as a result of the better training, the better shoes. You could say the bicarb, and whatever else. Like everything's just gotten so fast, and the 800 didn't really seem to quite follow that trend. But for whatever reason, this year it clicked, and it's just now it's rolling. I'm curious, like if people were in 141 fitness before, and they just needed someone like Wignoni just like start hammering them and kind of suck everyone through, or if everyone's just extra fit this year because it's an Olympic year. But I know just from the 141 guy I've seen train every day, like Bryce it's taken a lot, like to take him from his 144 fitness or 143 high fitness he ran last year to what he's done this year. He's trained a lot more. He's been at altitude, been more consistent. Like there's added some things, like he's made a lot of changes to get there. So I'm curious what took the other guys, or what helped the other guys make that jump. But I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. I kind of wish it was a year. It was a year after I got good at the 8, because then maybe I could have competed more. But what are you gonna do? It's exciting to see everyone run so fast and try to compete with it. So
Something I want to explore with you is the fact that you're only 21 years old. If I'm not mistaken, you'd be either a junior or senior in college this upcoming fall if you went to college.
yeah,
Junior
I'd be a
or senior?
rising senior. Yeah, this would be my
Rising
4th
senior.
year. Yeah.
I think when you originally made the decision to go pro, there's always speculation for high school kids of like, oh, will they actually make the jump? Yada, yada, yada. You clearly
Mm-hmm.
have. How much have you reflected on that decision and how much it has paid off?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud, super proud of the decision I made, and it was really hard at the time. And luckily, I had like the support of a lot of people, including all the great people at NAU, basically like telling me like I think this is the right decision for you, which made it a lot easier to like not have them being dicks and like you got to come here, you're making a mistake. And I feel like everyone involved had my best interest in mind, so I'm super grateful for that. But yeah, I mean it felt like the first couple of years there. I was like, oh well, maybe I was just like good in high school. Like things don't really seem to be lining up. And I don't feel like I'm on the trajectory that I thought I would be on. But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is like the progress is not linear, and there's a lot of ups and downs. So I feel like I've arrived at the destination I want to be at. Even if you told me I was going to get 5th at the Olympics in 2021, I feel like I'd be pretty happy about that. And like, all right, things are moving along well. And I'm competing on a global stage like I was hoping to be. So yeah, it's been never regretted it. Been stressful at points. I would have loved to run at NAU. It would have been an amazing experience, but a lot of doors have opened because of going pro out of high school. So I don't know. It's been unique, but it's been my path, and I'm super grateful for it. So
I know you're a very humble guy, but if you had gone to the NCAA, how many titles do you think you would have won at this point?
well, who knows? I mean, maybe just one, maybe 0, maybe 5. Like the NCAA is so good. I don't know. I have no idea really. I've gotten beaten by a lot of NCAA guys, but I've also beaten some of the best NCAA guys. So,
dude, 5th in the world's hard
and,
to bet against.
yeah, but I mean, this year I think I would have won, but I don't know about the previous years. It's weird. Like I mean, and Nathan Green wasn't that far behind me at the trials, and that was like everything was set up for me in that race the whole year, and he had race conference and NCAA. Like he had done a lot more by that point in the season. So um, I don't know. I wish I got to find out. I really wish I got to run NCAA cross. Um, I'd be really curious to see how I do with that. Probably not very well on the grass, but maybe. Um, but we'll
You were
never
state
know.
champ in high school on the grass, right?
No, no,
No?
zero
Oh,
cross
you
country.
placed second, right?
Yeah, to Rally Ho. So who knows? But I don't think it works well with my mechanics. Some people seem to be just more efficient on the grass. I know I've talked to Nico about that a lot. Like he just um, doesn't feel like his mechanics are best suited to run on grass. Which, if you look at him run, like it kind of makes sense. But I don't know.
So,
Yeah, a lot of
so there's
respect for the
hope for
NCAA
all the
guys.
kids. Yeah, so there's hope for kids who don't win an NCAA, or excuse me, there's hope for kids who don't win a high school cross country title.
High school cross country could be brutal. I mean, all it takes is one really good guy to get you. But yeah, I was talking about the other day. Like I was really struggling to break 15 minutes um, for high school cross, which I think the Midwestern courses are pretty hard to be fair. But still, like I went in November. I was like, it took everything in me to break 15. And then 5 months later, 6 months later, um, I had run 3:34, and I guess 2 or 3 months later, I had run sub 4. So it's a cross country is a whole different game.
I feel like that 334 really cemented you in the conversation of going pro and what you can do in the sport. Obviously, that led into the 2020 U.S. Olympic trials happening in 2021. If I'm not mistaken, made it out of the first round. You won that first round semifinal. You got knocked out, and then you look 3 years later, fifth in the world. I like the
Hmm.
progression you're on. Have you thought? Obviously, it sounds like you're not satisfied, but have you thought about the progress that you've made every single year? Where your first U.S. Olympic trials, you were struggling to make it out of rounds. You didn't make it to the final even. Your second Olympic
Hmm.
trials, you make two teams look super good doing it. Ultimately, you end up getting fifth in the world.
Yeah, I mean, even like I was sixth at the USA Championship last year and fifth at the Olympics this year. So really happy with that jump. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I think I had better fitness than it showed in 2021. But the excitement of running 3:34, and then the decision to go pro, I think fried me, and I just had no bandwidth left to give to race. So yeah, who knows? But yeah, I mean, super happy with the progress. Things have come along really well, and again, I'm hoping we have the systems in place to kind of keep. We've hit our stride and just keep slowly improving year after year. I th- I think we've kind of isolated what caused the ups and downs in 2021 and 2020, or sorry, 2022 and 2023, and have isolated that and got it smoothed out. Obviously, I'm sure there will be some more hiccups, but I'm hoping it can be a lot smoother from here on out, and just get a little better year after year, and hopefully that I can become the best in the world. We'll see. I'll do what I can to get there. Um, hopefully that gets it done, but um, I don't know. 10 years to win a global championship. So um, I'm pretty excited about what the future holds.
I'm confident you're going to win one. So I'll use the word when, not if. When
Uh,
you win a
I
global
appreciate that.
championship, when you win a global championship, what would that do from a mindset perspective too? Would you be like, I'm gonna go all in on rock climbing now, or like it? You said 10 years to win a global championship. That
Hmm.
seems like the goal. When you win one, is it let's see how many more I can win, or is it like I can peacefully exit the sport now?
No, I mean I'll want to run as long as at least I say that now. As I love my life as a professional runner, so I'm gonna milk it for as long as I can. At least that's the plan. It's really like um, I don't know. This might be a hot take, but I don't want anyone to ever to ever say it's hard. It's probably one of the most privileged lives you can have. At least it has been for me. I get to do like my passion for a living, get paid for it, travel all around the world, have amazing connections with all these great people. So I don't know. It doesn't get better. Um, so I'm gonna milk it for everything it's worth. But I think winning a global championship would just like to me would mean realizing my potential and executing my career in a really productive way. And like because like everyone can have the talent, but it takes a lot more than just the talent. Like how you conduct yourself on day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, etc. Like a lot has to go right to make it happen. I'm sure. I don't know. There's a lot of people I think that have the talent to do it, but again, like you gotta really set up your career in a really productive way. Like I think if you look at Jake Whiteman, obviously he's had a rough patch in recent years, but um, up until 2022, he had very few injuries and just was able to be better and better each year, and until it kind of climaxed with him winning that race and medaling at the Commonwealth Games, medaling at Europeans, winning the Monaco Diamond League. I think he ran 143 in there too. Like he just had like 10 years of steady improvement to get there. So that's what I'm hoping. And Josh Kerr as well. He just has gotten better and better. Was like dominated in NCAA. I think was sixth in 2019, third in 2021, and then fifth in 2022, and then 2023 was his year. And so just gradually stacking. And I've been really, I really look up to those guys for how they've conducted their careers, and kind of hope to do the same. Stay relatively injury free and just build good, consistent training and consistent performances. So.
A race that kind of kicked off the season was the Prefontaine Classic. Ultimately got tripped up, went down. People can go watch that race. Definitely, I think could have been a race where, you reverted back to 2022, 2023 and thought, oh, this is a rough go. I'm not sure how this season's going to pan out. Obviously, as we know at this point, you bounce back really, really well, start knocking races out of the park. What did that race do for you? And ultimately, what was that experience like where, I'm sure you're going into that race wanting to run incredibly fast, wanting to compete with the best in the world. You go down, step off the track. What was that experience like for you, and how'd you bounce back from it?
Well, it did nothing for me really. I got like 500 meters of a good race in, but no, it just sucked. Like I was just kind of like Cole and I were just kind of pushing on each other because he was kind of wanted the space in front of me, and I wanted to protect it. And he just kind of cut in, and he got tripped up with Jake, and then that caused him to stumble. Then I stumbled, and it was kind of either me go down and take everyone out behind me, which was most of the race. I was pretty close to up front, so I just to catch my balance instead of and stay on my feet. I like subconsciously stepped on the inside, and at that point it was over. So it was a real shame. Could have been something great, but have a lot more opportunities. But I'm glad I didn't try to stay on my feet and take everyone out, because I'm glad it was just me going down and not like the 8 guys behind
The
me,
entire
because
race.
that would have sucked to cause a pile up or been responsible for it when it could have been avoided. But yeah, it was frustrating. I mean, to be honest, there were some tears after, but and I missed out on the stimulus from that race itself was something I was counting on for my training and my trials build up. So that was frustrating, but I was able to get a really good session in immediately after the race and take care of that stimulus and fly home a little bummed, but just was happy I wasn't injured. And I don't know. At the end of the day, it's not a really big deal, but it just sucks at the time when you're like feeling good and ready to go kick ass. But it's the only hiccup this year we've had so far. So
There you go.
if that's all I gotta endure, I can handle that.
If you can share, what was the workout afterwards and how pissed were you running it?
I was pretty pissed. It was 4x800, 4x400, 4x200. So I think I went like I'm trying to remember, like maybe like 207, 203, 201, 159, and then I ran 55s and then 26s. So I think it was off. I'm trying to remember. I think it was off 2 minutes rest, maybe 2:30, and then with a 5-minute set break. So it was a good session. I think I could have run 346, 347 if had I stayed in the race, but we'll never know. It's all right. I've had plenty of good running races this year, so nothing but an inconvenience in the grand scheme of things.
Speaking of a guy who is, I think, the only kid who's younger than you at these global championships, Niels Laros. How do you say his name, by the way? Do you know as his competitor? Is it
I think
Laros?
uh, I don't. You'd be mad at me for
Okay,
not knowing, but yeah.
we'll call him Niels
Um,
Laros, something. Anyways, I'm assuming you saw the race where he fell. Ultimately, ended up still running 3:49. He's running lights out.
yeah, he
What's
felt
it like
Monaco
seeing
too.
another? Yeah, what's it like
Yeah,
seeing a kid like that? Just it's like you two are the two youngins in the field.
yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Like I think has like all the strengths I have. Like we're very similar athletes. He's just younger, and you could argue he's better. But no, I mean he's the future. He's a great runner. He's here to stay. Um, yeah, I'm excited to compete with him over the next 10 years. It's gonna be great. But he's probably the closest, the biggest talent we've had since Jakob. Um, so he's still developing too. I think what a lot of people don't understand is like when you're that young, just like what the difference is between 18 and 19 and 21, 22. Like as far as physical maturity, it's a whole different game. You can handle more training. You're just you have an extra couple years of training stacked, so your training age is just a little bit older. Like, um, so with those next couple years, I think he's going to be a world beater. So I'll do what I can to try to keep up. But yeah, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with because again, you're still kind of like still a lot of physical maturing to do between 19 and 22. So and I feel like I've experienced that firsthand. Like
Yeah,
like just as you get older, things get a little easier. Your body just kind of cooperates more, or at least mine has.
for sure, for sure. I mentioned rock climbing a minute ago. Going back to it, I know nothing about rock climbing. I've never really done it. I wouldn't like to see myself do it. It would probably be a disaster. But I remember in high school, I saw some news headline, and this puts it in perspective for probably the other 100% of listeners who know nothing about rock climbing, where you essentially did something equivalent to breaking 4 in the mile from a rock climbing world perspective. So I guess you're remarkably good at that discipline as well. Do you miss it at all? Is there a future in that? I don't know if you can do it. Like, what's the take on rock climbing?
Yeah. First of all, I think you'd be a great climber, Dominic. So don't sell yourself short.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you, man.
We'll go climbing sometime. Yeah. I wouldn't say I was sub four level, but I was pretty good. I think the legend's kind of grown over the years. Um, to make it seem like I was a lot better than I actually was, but I was pretty happy with where I got in climbing, and we'll absolutely pick it back up, or at least I plan on picking it up seriously when I'm done running. Just like that physical maturity we were talking about a few years ago. When I stopped, I was basically prepubescent and didn't quite have like the man strength yet. Um, and we all saw what happened to my running. Like once I grew, like I went from 420 to basically you could say 421 to 351 if you use 1500 conversions in a little over a year, right? So like it would have been cool to stay in climbing um, and see if I would have made a similar jump. But once I'm done running, I would like to dedicate um, some some time to trying to be a great climber. I don't want to be professional or anything, but I just want to like I feel like I have some unfinished business, so try to be the best climber I can be. And luckily, I don't think you don't need it doesn't take that much to train for it. You just need like a simple spray wall and a hangboard. So
You probably have the best grip strength in the Olympic 1500 field. If it was a pull-up
yeah,
contest, you'd probably win, right?
I think I think I can. I'm probably the only person that can do a one arm pull up and break 330. Um,
That's crazy.
I don't know. Well,
A
actually,
one-arm pull-up.
I shouldn't get ahead of myself. I don't know if I can do them. If I'm not running any mileage, I can definitely do one. When you're running 85, 90 miles a week, it gets
I'm
you get a
sure.
little
I'm just getting a
tired.
little tired.
It's harder to do pull ups. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I've the grip strength I've retained. Like that's the thing I've retained the best. Everything else is atrophied quite a bit. Like especially the endurance. Like I have no endurance anymore. I can still get on the wall. Even warming up will tire me out. So if I get out, if I try, I can try a boulder cold and climb pretty hard. I would say I can climb like V10 or V11, but I only have like 2 or 3 goes in me, and then I'm cooked for like 3 days. So I have no session endurance and no straight up endurance. But during my off season, I'll try to climb as much as possible. I'll probably climb 4 times a week, and I think it kind of gives you a really good like physical. It's good conditioning for getting back into running, and just like the robustness it gives you. Um, I think helps when you get back into running because it just like your back and core and hamstrings, and you're using all that in a really different way than running. So it just kind of bulletproofs you a little bit and makes you a little more solid. So not why I'm
A
doing
few
it,
more.
but it is a nice benefit.
Yeah, for sure. A few more things before we wrap this one up. Giving some advice to the people. You mentioned cross country, your career in it, no state championship. Many other things on the resume though. What would be advice to a high school or collegian listening who wants to have a great cross country season? We're talking towards the end of August, so perfect time to give some wisdom to kids out there who want to have their best season yet. What would the legend Hobbs Kessler tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I can speak on cross country. I zero state titles, but I would say for me, um, I would make sure I I would get in a really good strength routine, gym routine. So I'm trying to think. In the fall of 2022, I started working with Jake Whiteman's strength coach, Andy K, and that's been responsible for my first time really lifting. Um, been responsible for like keeping me healthy and just a lot. I feel like I'm a lot more efficient. I don't know. It's just been super helpful, more efficient, more robust, and more powerful and explosive. So starting to do heavy lifts and plyos, I can't recommend it enough. Especially for cross, you kind of need that body stiffness since the ground's so soft. Um, so really, it's I don't know. It's basically free time because you just run so much more efficiently when you've done that work, and especially if you haven't done it before, you get a really big boost at first, and then it'll plateau a little bit. But that's the number one thing I recommend. Um, if you can find a good person to do it. For me, I found like I don't really like messing around with bands and doing like little like stability things. I haven't found that super helpful. I've tried it. Um, the biggest improvements have been like when there's lots of force applied. So lifting heavy and jumping um, have made the biggest difference. And then on top of that, I would say in a similar vein, just doing strides, hard strides, um, once a week, at least once a week. I do normally do twice a week. Has been huge. So it doesn't even have to be 100 meters. I do a lot of 40-meter strides because it allows me to run really fast without costing me too much. Again, makes me more efficient, makes me faster. Game changer, at least for me. So those are the two things. And then I'm trying to. Oh, one more. The other thing, and this might depend on your system, but not all workouts have to feel like you're doing something. So you can just go if you're doing a threshold workout, um, or anything that's meant to be controlled. You don't have to feel the burn in your legs. Um, I would say it's always better to err on the side of caution. I know it's hard. Um, a lot of pros still struggle, including myself, to like slow down because sometimes like you're running threshold, it sucks. Like I'll be running 520 pace. I'm like, man, like getting passed by people. And I'm like, man, like I should be running like 450 pace for this. Like what the heck? But for yeah, if it's supposed to be a controlled effort, make sure it's controlled. You don't have to like feel the burn in your legs for it to be working. Like the no pain, no gain thing in distance running is absolutely nonsense. So the sooner you can let go of that and just do nice controlled workouts, do them as your coach intends them. Um, I think the sooner like it really unlocks a lot of fitness and a lot of consistency because you can just get it done. You're not getting greedy. And I would argue that also matters on easy days. You don't have to run 6:30 pace every day. You or like push or be breathing hard. You can run 7:45 pace, 8-minute pace even. I have plenty of runs in that 7:30 to 8-minute pace zone, and I'll have most of the time my first mile is above 8 minutes. And I just shoot the shit with my buddies and have a nice leisurely run, but the aerobic benefits are still there. So just letting go of feeling like you're doing something, and like that. I like to call it the anxiety press of pushing things because you're worried it's not going to work, or you're trying to cram fitness or whatever it would be. So, yeah, strength and controlling your efforts. So those are my two things, and they've been huge in my career. I could talk about it forever, endlessly.
Coaching corner with Coach Hobbs Kessler coming soon to a podcast near you. Hobbs, final question for you. Going back to Ann Arbor at some point, what are you most looking forward to coming back home, Michigan?
Sitting on the front porch. That's like my parents have a really nice front porch. That's where I spend most of the summers when I'm home. Just sit on the front porch hanging out with everybody. There's always someone over. So actually sit on the front porch and then climbing with all my buddies back home. I really miss that. So those are my two things. I can't wait to get back, but we got some business to take care of first. So
heck yeah. Hobbs, really appreciate you taking the time for this conversation. Excited to see what you'll do the rest of the season. And man, this season's been so much fun to follow. Seeing you get fifth in the Olympics is freaking hype. And yeah, man, big future ahead, running, rock climbing, coaching, who knows? Sky's the limit for Hobbs Kessler. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on the podcast. So hopefully you'll have me back soon. We can talk about training more. But yeah.
In Ann Arbor. We'll have to go for a run, then take me to the donut spot Ronnie always talks about, and then do an in-person pod.
Let's do it. Hit me up.
Hey, what would it take to get Ronnie on the pod? Does he do podcasts?
Yeah, I mean, he would. Yeah, come up and do it. Let's do it. You might have to edit some stuff out because he's known to be when he gets excited to say some stuff that maybe shouldn't be recorded. But I bet once you just edit all that out, you'll get a really nice,
you can co-host
funny, heartwarming. All right. I'm not gonna keep him. I normally rile him up. I can't help myself either. It's too fun. But yeah, we'll have to do it sometime. Hit me up.
We'll do a roundtable with Very Nice Track Club. Ronnie's the focus, and it'll be after hours, and we'll edit to his liking. So, anyways, Hobbs, appreciate you, man.
Looking forward to it. Cheers.